Okay, well, hello everyone. We are at 2 o'clock. We have a lot of information to share with you today, and we have a guest speaker as well. And so we're going to just get right started. And as others come in, we'll make sure that we welcome them or make sure that they know that the sign in and sign out sheets in the chat. So if you came in after we mentioned that, make sure that you click in the chat and get yourself signed in. There's also going to be a couple other links later on that might show up in the chat. So you'll need need to be checking that window. So as we get started today, we just wanted to remind everyone, but highlight the fact that throughout our Power Hours series, we have been addressing the Michigan Career Development Model that was released earlier this year. And if you look at that list of monthly Power Hour topics, you'll see that we are touching on specific Michigan Career Development Model learning targets each month. And so this month is the academic connections learning target. And so our majority of our information today is, of course, wrapped around that. I'm very excited once again to have collaborated with my colleague and fellow career development consultant, Joan Hawkshurst. Our role here in Career Connect is to identify and build systems that align and support all the career development efforts underway across our unit and provide supports for all of our districts. And one way that we do this is through these professional development series, and we've kind of landed on this Power Hour idea and are finding great success in the number of people that either join us in person or view it afterwards on our YouTube channel. Today we also have a guest speaker with us, Dr. Tracy Miller from Kalamazoo Public Schools will be a part of our Power Hour today. So as you can see, we'll be covering a number of different objectives. Each relates in some way to the Michigan Career Development Model Academic Connections target. We're going to unpack it a little bit, show some examples of best practices where career-connected learning is folded into academic content, and that helps develop that full K-12 culture of career development across the curriculum. So we're really excited about that and some of the objectives we have for you today. So in the words of our learners, some of our learners, we want to answer the why. So why mapping and implementing career development curriculum? And so we feel when this important step is taken, it helps identify where career-connected learning is already occurring in classrooms and where it isn't. So identifying the gaps provides a way to ensure that career awareness, exploration, and experiences are equitable, inclusive, and developmental for all students to benefit from at all grade levels. So every student can benefit from these versus those that might benefit because they happen to be in a class where an activity is provided. So it does help move schools and districts beyond random acts, or what we call random acts of career development activities that we only reach a few students, and helps transition to that system of coordinated career-connected learning for everyone. So when we look at the Michigan Career Development Model, it provides some guiding statements for a coordinated system of career-focused opportunities. In elementary, for example, the focus is about discovery and helping students develop a sense of self and beginning an awareness of their personal interests and strengths. So when provided with a wide range of experiences, students learn new possibilities and explore the world of work beyond jobs held by family members and others that they see in their everyday life. So it sort of opens and expands their visioning of what they could be in the future. So these experiences help build their confidences, and it challenges job stereotypes. And so we can do a variety of different things, even as young as elementary, to help broaden students' awareness. So once in middle school, that system of coordinated career-focused opportunities continues or should continue. So students can expand their awareness through exploration. So from awareness to exploration, it's really the perfect time to continue to help students refine self-discovery and engage in experiential learning opportunities. So these intentional moments help draw students' attention to the connections that show the relevance between classroom learning and future careers. And for students here in the KRESA school districts, exploration is often encouraged in our grades 6 through 7 when students begin to log into their Xello accounts. And then in 8th grade, a majority of our students attend the My Career Quest, where a lot of hands-on experiences with industry reps help showcase not only the varied careers in our area, but also the companies, and helps it relate back to the school matter that they've been learning about. Then when students enter high school, a system of academically connected career-focused opportunities encourage students to review and update self-assessments they may have taken in earlier grades, or to take some of those if they haven't yet. And developmentally in high school is about the time where students begin to move from that fantasy stage of career thinking to a more realistic realm, developing goals and career plans for their next steps. And they start seeing how skills learned through classroom content are transferable to their potential career pathways, which again adds more relevancy for the students. So then that deeper career-connected learning activities like labor market research, which could happen in math, or lifestyle costs and conversations, which could happen in social studies or financial literacy, become more meaningful for the student. In Michigan and in many other states, career development unfolds in age-appropriate layers. So in the previous slide, you may have noticed a career-focused progression from elementary to high school, beginning with awareness and moving to experiencing. Initially in elementary, students become aware of the 6 career zones through play, perhaps matching activities, reading, or being read to. As students get older and enter middle school, that awareness of career zones is expanded into the idea of 17 career clusters. And students' experiences move from awareness, career awareness, to exploration. An example of a zone to a cluster is human services. So the human services career zone expands into 5 career clusters: education and training, government and public administration, hospitality and tourism, human services, public law, safety, corrections, and security. So an academic connection could be posters in the classroom. And the Michigan Career Development Model website has some graphics, and we'll show you that a little bit later, where you can download those and make posters. So in the high school, as we move through those 9 through 12 grades, students become more focused on graduation, and career exploration and experiences begin to inform career pathway choices. So later in the hour, we're going to show a little bit more about how all career zones expand to clusters and then pathways as described in the Michigan Career Development Model. But for right now, we have Dr. Tracy Miller here with us today to share the career pathways maps being developed in Kalamazoo Public Schools.
You're muted.
Dr. Miller, you are muted. I'm trying to invite you to unmute. There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So one of the goals in the Kalamazoo Public Schools is to ensure that our students are prepared for graduation, making sure that they have in-school and out-of-school experiences, but also for them to be able to have a great understanding of pathways and what those career pathways look like. There's a lot of research around pathways and making sure that students are prepared and looking at it in terms of the students who are successful, who have had that experience throughout their K-12 education. And so within Kalamazoo Public Schools, there are 5 pathways that we prepare students for. And we want to make sure that we're providing in-school and out-of-school experiences for these pathways. And that's 2-year, 4-year job training, military, and apprenticeships. And this is the plan that we put together in terms of our promising progressive pathways and looking at it from the lens of K-12. How do you begin to do this work to make sure that students are prepared in elementary, developing those transitioning skills to middle school, developing those cognitive and key learning skills as they move into high school, so that they can have a better understanding of the pathways that they might want to pursue and the courses that they might want to take. So within our work, aligning to the Michigan Career Development Model, as Liz has shared, these are the 8 targets that target the career pathway maps that we're going to be showing you in the work that we're doing in our district. And I will show you another way in which this aligns through the Michigan Career Development Model and the National Career Clusters, as well as the career technical education. So when you look at the career technical education programs and you're looking at it from this lens, you're actually seeing how the national career clusters align. Here I provided the legacy model as well as a new framework. So the legacy is on the 17 and the new framework is now on the 14. But then also you can see in that last column how that alignment goes all the way in through to those 6 meta sectors, those career cluster groupings. And if you know anything about John Hollins, you understand that those are aligned to the RISIC. So having that work done and understanding the personalities and how the personalities tie into the career clusters, but then looking at it from the lens of Career Tech Ed with the new Career Connect Center, but then also other things that we're doing to get kids aligned into more pathway visits to college. This information is vital in terms of that alignment going all the way through. So students and parents and educators, families and counselors will have a better idea of keeping students on those pathways to ensure that they are prepared. So then when you bring in the Michigan Career Development Model, you're looking at it from the lens of the core focuses, but then you're looking at the sample technical courses. So when you're looking at health, biology, sociology, you're looking at that information there is coming from our career pathway maps. So as students are able to use AI to be able to use all these other resources, they can actually align their EDP to the career pathway maps, to the Michigan Career Development Model, and then also make sure that they are also aligning to the national career clusters. So I'm going to just briefly go through these slides so I can go ahead and get to the actual tools that I want to show you within the time that I have allowed. So this is the new model for the national career clusters. Here at the bottom, that circle map, and I'll show you that later on. But as you can see, in using this particular model, we also have it aligning to a healthcare pathway that's part of the career pathway maps. So using the healthcare pathway, looking at it from the lens of the Michigan Career Development Model, but then also looking at the purpose of the targets for the model. So the purpose in Michigan for the targets for the model of the Michigan Career Development Model is, the career awareness is making sure that students know the 14 clusters. The academic relevancy, making sure that they understand the work and preparation necessary for them to be successful. So you can kind of go all the way down, as you can see, career planning, making sure that students can make an informed choice, but also making sure that they have actionable steps in that action plan. So how they align in practice is using those 6 sectors to begin understanding the different career pathways around those sectors, making sure that students are career ready around the national career readiness practices, bringing it down to looking at the 72 new subclusters. And so how do you begin doing that work with your students from middle school to high school so that they have an understanding of not just the pathway, but the actual skills and the actual experiences that they may be able to participate in that's tangible for them to have these tangible connections. So we developed a labor market navigator for our school system so that students not only understand the pathway, but they can look at it from the lens of high in demand jobs, low in demand jobs, looking at it from the salary, demographics, who are in these jobs, who are in these careers, looking at it from, gender, race, looking at it from region so they can make more informed decisions. And then the career pathway maps that we developed is really helping students to understand from grade 6 through 12 what it is that they need to be doing and how they get there. And so we're going to go into the labor market navigator, but first I just want you to understand some of the information you will see when you go into the labor market navigator. So you're in the career pathway maps. You're going to see the National Career Clusters framework, which we talked about earlier. And you're going to also see terminology. So you're going to be seeing high value job, low value job zones, but you're also going to see these different areas up at top. You're going to see the area overview, you're going to see career clusters, the demographic indicators. All of these will be at the top, tabbed at the top of the page, guiding students, parents, and others that are using this website so they can understand more about how to put all this information together to ensure that students are prepared for a pathway progression during high school and after. The career pathway maps, we divided the career pathway maps into 3 different areas: education, skills, and knowledge, plus work-based learning equals local career opportunities. And so this is the format that we use to outline the work. And these are the documents that are contained within the career pathway map for each of the 14 career clusters. So the National Career Clusters was released last fall. Our Michigan Career Development Model is still on the legacy, the 17. However, our labor market navigator is on both. It's on both the legacy and it's on also the new framework. This is going to be a part of the career pathway maps that you're going to see when we get in. When students click on the middle school or the high school label that's on the side to the left, it will actually open up our course bulletins to provide students and families additional opportunities to explore additional classes that are not on the career pathway maps. We also included mostly all the websites that our students go to that they need to be looking at additional information, all the relevant colleges in our region, our local career training programs, our apprenticeship programs, Career Launch Kalamazoo, the Career Connect Center, looking at Teach Kalamazoo for Grow Your Own. But then we have students that are going to go right into the workplace. So that's why we added the labor market tools so students can go right into Michigan Pathfinder. They can also go into My Talent Connect. And then we also have, for students that want to explore the post-secondary higher education realm a little bit deeper, we have more college career exploration resources on this particular page. And these are some of the main websites that we use in our practice as we begin to help students understand the resources that are available for them to dig deeper. So we have FAFSA there. We have the Credential Center for students that want to get a certification and might not understand how do you become an RN or an LN, a registered nurse or a licensed nurse. You have Apprenticeship USA for students that want to go right into apprenticeships, as well as the military. So we wanted to make sure that we were inclusive of the information that we were providing students. So now I'm going to click into the career pathway maps. So please make sure, let me know if you're able to see the screen.
Yes.
You can see it. Wonderful. So when you click into the career pathway maps labor market navigator, there are several different tabs up here at the top, but I'm just only going to focus on a few tabs based on time, and I can do a deeper training later when there's more time available. But I'm going to show you here is that these are the 14 new clusters. And so what this is a brief overview of showing students and families and others of what the annual openings look like within our state within these areas. And as you can see up here, you can set the geography from the national or state or regional, or you can go to the legacy framework or the new framework. I have it set to the new framework, but as you can see, if I click on the legacy, as it updates, now you're going to see the 17. But for this particular training, I'm going to keep it to the new, like I said, because Kalamazoo Public Schools is on the new framework. So when I click on career cluster information, that particular tab up here, once again, we can change all this information at the top here. I can even go to region. And when I click on region, I can even move this down so we can show more of, it's taking a little time here. Let me go back to state just in case my computer starts acting up. So let me just go back to nation and state. So here you can see showing the job zones, the occupational titles under advanced manufacturing. I can change advanced manufacturing to any area. So I'm just going to change it to education for the sake of this is the pathway that most of us are in right now. So I want to make sure that you can see it, you can become more relevant to your understanding. So here, what students are going to see is they're going to see the occupational titles under this particular education cluster. I can narrow it down to any of these areas here just by selecting and deselecting, but I have them all selected so you can see all of them. Here you'll see high value, low value occupations, annual openings, projected change in employment, projected growth, hourly wage, medium wage, so students can get an overview of what these particular career areas are. One thing that's good about this navigator is that students don't really quite understand. Like if you get a teaching degree and you go to college and get a teaching degree, you can become more than just a teacher. That's just the beginning. There's other things that you can do. You can go back and get your master's and become a principal, instructional leadership. So this here under the occupational titles shows students the many other careers that they can go into education. So if I click on the career subcluster tab that's right next to that, it's going to break it down even further to the subclusters. So they can actually see early childhood, educational administration, leadership. So they can begin to make more informed choices about their educational pathway. If I click on region, and I click on Kalamazoo Public Schools District, our Kalamazoo Public School students can now see the careers and jobs just in this region around the district. And why is that important? It's important because we're a promise district. We're the first promise district in the nation. We want to make sure that our students understand what's in their backyard, what's in their community, the different careers and jobs that are available to them in all these different areas and all these different clusters within the national career clusters. So if I click up here to the top and I go to career pathway and I go to demographic indicators, students will be able to see an overview of all the clusters by demographics. So they can see, they can see gender within the industry as well as total gender within the, by industry. They can also see it from the percentage within the industry in terms of some of the subcluster areas. And then down here, they can also see it within the ethnicity. So ethnicity by industry, and here you have race by industry. So they can be able to make more informed decisions about having an idea of who's actually in these particular career areas and who are in these jobs. For the career pathway maps, this is the work that we worked on to make sure that students are taking classes and prepared as early as 6th grade. So all of our core coordinators, content coordinators from all the areas from English, math, science, social studies, from music, art, PE, health, as well as world language, they were able to take the new 14 career clusters, and they had about a month to look at their particular content area and map out the courses in our school district from grades 6 through 12 that students would need to take in order to be successful upon graduation. And then what we did is we then added in early middle college, all of our early middle college programs, all of our career tech ed programs that are over at the new Career Connect Center, as well as all of our EFA programs. So I'm going to click on education just because I had education in the beginning. So I want to stick to the theme of education. And this is what the career pathway maps look like. So what you're looking at here at the top is you're looking at the cluster, is education, and you're looking at the subclusters. All of this information is coming also from our labor market navigator. So students in middle school, if they take the middle school classes connected to either the Educator Academy, if they go to the Career Connect Center, if they want to go into early middle college in education, these are the programs that they can go into early middle college. If they want to go into a 2-year, here you have the community college programming as well as a 4-year. So it's giving them an overview of where they can go in terms of getting that in-school and out-of-school experiences so they can make sure that they're connecting their academics to real-world learning. Then obviously we have the job shadowing, the work-based learning opportunities, the internship opportunities for students to become aware of, but then also for students to get a glimpse of the particular careers and salaries that they can earn based on the education level. So the second page of this career pathway map, and this is the same for all 14 clusters. What you're looking at here is the actual courses being mapped out from 6th grade all the way to 12th grade for students to understand what it is that they need to do and know in terms of these different areas. So once again, here are the middle school and high school links. These are the bulletins down here. These are the other possible career connected pathways that students can go into. And then if students want to dual enroll, we have many students that want to dual enroll. These are the programs and areas that we would recommend that they would dual enroll in, as well as if they wanted to become earn certifications, go into an apprenticeship, go right to Valley, earn credentials that way. Or if students want to go into a 4-year program, we have mapped that information out for them according to the career pathway alignment. And then these were the documents that I shared earlier in terms of the different links that students have that they can click in to learn more about the programs of study, because obviously we couldn't have all of the different programs listed on these pages because there's so many more than what we could display, but giving students a sample of what it is that they can do while they're still in high school, and then while they are thinking about what that future might look like when they graduate high school. Here's the page that I shared again regarding the resources. But if you scroll down, for each map, for each career pathway map, we have included the new career clusters here. And I'm going to zoom in just quickly, just so you can see it a little bit better on my screen and on your screen. And I want to show you the relevance to this. Why is it so important for students to understand the national career clusters? We are going to be developing 3 classes in our middle school coming up for this fall called the Promising Pathway classes. And these classes are going to be required for every 6th, 7th, and 8th grader in our school district. And we are going to make sure that by the time that students complete 8th grade, not only are they going to understand all 14 career clusters, they're going to understand the personalities and skills associated with those clusters. So by the time they get into 9th grade, they'll have a better idea about their personality, their interests, and their skills and their ability, so they can make those connections in terms of what it is that they might want to do while they're in high school. But when I mentioned that John Holland circles around in the middle of the 6 sectors in the middle, from investing in your future, connecting and supporting success, this is also important in terms of time and the skills gap, for students to be able to see the skills that they still need to develop to be successful in that particular career pathway. And when students go to college and are thinking about going into maybe perhaps an educational field, and they get into that particular field and realize that that might not be the field that they want to study, when you look in that blue area where it says caring for communities, those skill sets, that knowledge, and those personalities are closer and closer aligned. Meaning that if a student decided they wanted to go into education and changed their mind and said they wanted to go into public service, chances are there might be classes that might transfer for that particular student, versus that student saying that they want to go into education and then cut way across over here into more of the tourism area. So just making sure that we're being mindful of how we're guiding students and how we're helping them to select career paths to make sure that they're saving time and money and accelerating themselves to that degree and certification. And lastly, these are the subcluster areas that are part of all of our career pathway maps. We want to make sure that students also had a better understanding of what those subcluster areas are. So this work was just starting in terms of what we're doing within our school system. And lastly, I just want to quickly show you, if I can get back here. Are you still with me? Can you still see my screen? Yep. The user guides. So we created user guides, and we're in the process of continuing to create user guides for our students, parents, guardians, school counselors, CTE teachers, content teachers, and industry partners, because we want them to become part of this work to ensure that we are developing a promise community, not just for the Kalamazoo Public Schools, but for our community, because we also know that students are going to be going into our communities, to these careers, to these jobs, and in the higher education. So we want to make sure that our parents have an idea of how to help guide their students. So I'm just going to quickly click into a guide. And so these guides we're developing, like I said, we're still developing the other 2 or 3, but it provides students an opportunity to learn about why this is important. It gives them information on the clarity, making sure that they're goal focused, making sure that they understand how to make smarter course selections, and helping them to understand how they begin to build the confidence in pursuing that particular career pathway. But as you can see, for those that need more instruction on what these pathways are, what the labor market navigator is, we provided guides to be able to show them the information to better understand what the job titles and minimum wages are. But then also, when you scroll down at the last page, we have the actual glossary of terms. So as they're looking at the website, using the career pathway maps, beginning how they're going to make these alignments, we wanted to make sure that they had the information to make informed decisions, but also for them to understand some of the language that we use that is around career education. So with that, I'm going to pass that back to Joan, I think, unless there's any other questions about this work.
Well, thank you, Dr. Miller. I am a little bit speechless after seeing how well you were able to incorporate so much information into such a short time in a way that will be very helpful, perhaps intimidating to some of our folks who are not as far along the path, but also just a great opportunity for all of us, I think, to be inspired by the work that you are doing. So thank you very, very much. I wanted to make sure that we put up this screen that includes Dr. Miller's contact information, so that if there are questions or opportunities for follow-up. But what an amazing, from the career pathways to the building of a labor market navigator that has data that's specific to the learners in your district. Just remarkable. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your expertise and time today. So we are going to, after we've seen this example of kind of maybe what we all might aspire to, we wanted to think a little bit about some of the elements that might contribute to organizing a map that might someday be as comprehensive as the one that we've just seen. And in order to do that, we're going to take a few looks now at some of the components of what such a map might look like. First of all, one of the things that we wanted to keep in mind is the profile of a graduate, portrait of a graduate that is in the Michigan Career Development Model and also the Michigan Merit Curriculum. So these 5 characteristics, abilities, should be cultivated in every Michigan high school graduate. They should be able to communicate effectively with a variety of audiences. They should be able to collaborate with others to reach a shared goal. They should be able to use argument and reason to do research, construct arguments, and critique reasoning. They should use technology and tools, and they should be able to problem solve, construct explanations, and design creative and innovative solutions. So if you are someone who's just at the very beginning of this idea of like, I'd like to map my curriculum, I'd like to map pathways for my students, one thing to keep in mind is this idea that all of our graduates, whether it's this portrait of a graduate or one that your district has defined on its own, that might include different ways of speaking about skills, but chances are include all of these skills in one form or another. This is just an element to sort of like an overlay to think about as you move forward. So we want to make sure that your map is seeing the linkages, right, between academic content in all of the core content areas and these portrait of a graduate skills and abilities. So we want to strengthen those linkages. We wanted to just lift up one example of career-connected learning from our colleagues at Youth Solutions, who have developed a training called Connecting Careers to the Core, where they encourage educators to do things like maybe an ELA teacher who's teaching foreshadowing can figure out ways to explain to students, help them see that foreshadowing is an awful lot like predicting outcomes, which is a skill set that's very useful in a wide variety of career paths: data analyst, actuary, sports analyzer. And how can we start taking those the content areas that we are sharing across all of the standards and all of our curricula and connect them to those skills that students will need on graduation? I'll turn it back to Liz.
Thank you, Joan, and especially to Tracy for just that amazing look at what's been mapped out for KPS students. We wanted to revisit the Michigan Career Development Model learning targets and the stair-step framework that we've developed to more easily see how the academic connections learning target is in alignment to the other targets. And that is legislatively required, as you can see, at the elementary, middle, and high school levels. And also that the Michigan Career Development Model does not specify a particular staff person or department that is to do this work, but rather encourages all staff to understand the importance of everyone's role in building that culture of career development in their school building and classrooms. And also that the emphasis is on connection, not more units to create or more things to add in, but ways to connect that academic content to career awareness, exploration, and experiences. So during the rest of our time today, we're going to look at some examples from both the model as well as content, classroom content and activities that have been tweaked with that career focusedness toward building a curriculum of career development. So in the guide provides some different information, one of which is this chart that shows some sample strategies, related activities, and then some suggested metrics for each of the learning targets. So for elementary, we know the academic connections target is about connecting classroom content to the Michigan 6 career zones. And an example is meet role models from different careers to address school subject and job stereotypes. And we all know a lot of times this could be in the form of guest speakers or a career fair. What an elementary building can do or can decide though to do too is what time of year and what grade levels this will occur so all students benefit. Another option perhaps could be that each grade level, K-5, focus on a career zone. So kindergartners might do human services, and that the first graders would be a different career zone. So we want to make sure that we're looking at some examples from the Michigan Career Development Model, as well as starting to think about what you already have going on, and ways to start mapping some of your ideas and current activities. So as we begin to think about mapping our academic our academic connections to grade level career development activities, it might look something like this chart. So where the grade level is listed first. So in the model, they have the grade bands. Well, in this chart, grade level starts first, and then strategy. Right now, it's as identified by the model, but it could also be your own school strategy, related activities, a timeline for implementing, and then having metrics, because your metrics are what allows that data gathering and decision making for future offerings, tweaks to the system, etc. So the strategy here in this chart, integrate career awareness. We've added a how, for example, by providing experiential opportunities such as visual aids or gamifications. Also listed are some of the related activities that many classroom teachers are already doing, but the tweak is folding in as things as it pertains to the world of work. So we know one why, for example, in reading aloud helps develop literacy skills. And these are definitely needed in the workforce. Another why could be for students to find purpose. For example, many books are read over the year during kindergarten, and picking and reading books that highlight workers and the work that the characters are doing helps students connect what they're learning in the class to the jobs that they might hold one day. If you'd like a copy of, get a blank copy of this chart, Jonah's putting a link in the chat right now. So you can, as we follow along, if there's an idea that sparks for you in terms of something happening at a grade level, you can quickly record it in the chart. So here that we just kind of mapped out some more examples, grades 3 through 5, fold in academic connections to the grade level career development activities, along with integrating career awareness and challenging those stereotypes. So that could be added as a strategy. For example, 4th grade, social studies. Typically, there's a field trip to the Capitol building. And an activity to fold in is asking the students to keep an eye out for what other workers are at the Capitol building. So spying, I spy different people in different roles and having a conversation about that. So when adding in what you know is already happening in grades of your school, your chart will most likely show gaps or show many activities in one grade and fewer in another. So that mapping gives us our own visual aid across the curriculum at all grade levels as you get going with it. So speaking of visual aids, some for classrooms, the model, the Michigan Career Development Model website has a list of various graphic files that can be downloaded to make posters for your classroom. So here on the left are links to the different graphics available, and then one showing a graphic of the career zones. And this next slide, this set could be used maybe at the middle school level, where you're starting to begin to expand students' thinking from zones to career clusters. So this one shows the zones on the left and then the career clusters on the right. And that color coding helps students see the expansion. For example, human services, which is kind of in that Copenhagen blue color. I love Copenhagen blue, but anyway, it's in the Copenhagen blue color, sort of expands to include careers in education and training, government and public administration, hospitality and tourism, etc. So that helps students see that relationship. So more examples are shown here. We just stepped out again, a 6 through 8, what some of the strategies are that are listed in the model. But again, your schools, you may have others to include. And where the model just has one strategy, you might have several. And our career development consultants are available to help with those career-connected learning opportunities and the curriculum mapping. We have lots of resources that are being developed continuously for your use. This is just a quick screenshot of what's in the model in terms of at the high school level, when those academic connections, when the target expands to include those pathways, very similar to the pathways that Tracy was talking about in regards to all the different individual specific career fields then that students could go into.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Continuing on, here's a look at 9th and 10th grade examples of ways to fold in those academic connections, perhaps in science or social studies areas. Not to eliminate any other area, but all content areas is where all students are involved in classrooms and activities. So perhaps after learning about ecosystems, for example, in science, we could tweak that for students to start thinking about, well, what are the ecosystems in the world of work? And how are those relationships interdependent on each other? Last slide here in terms of the K-12 mapping is examples of what could happen in those grades. So learning math modeling perhaps in 12th grade, or maybe earlier if a student is in a higher level math track. So that math modeling is problem solving, and how do they turn the math modeling problem solving experience into their own career connected learning problem solving experience of what their next steps might be. So the students learn the math modeling, but then they tweak it. It's tweaked to something that's more relevant perhaps to them. So Tracy highlighted the 5 promising progressive pathways at Kalamazoo Public Schools. In Xello, students can choose from 9 pathways that include entrepreneurship, perhaps a gap year, supported living, technical training. And as we know, Xello is provided to all of our school districts. So we wanted to show a little bit about where Xello has some pathway options for students as well. And then Xello also has a number of curriculum mapping tools as well that you might want to look at as you start forming your idea of what your curriculum map is going to be looking like. So this chart here, a mapping tool from from Xello. And what we've done is we've linked each one of these slides. So if you want to learn more about those, you would just be able to click on those slides and look at the different information that's provided there. That might be something that you would use as a model for your own curriculum map. Here's another. This is a K-12 from Xello. It's a Michigan-specific K-12 scope and sequence planning sheet. You can see in this one where it not only has the grade level, but also the timeline. What time of the year is this particular activity going to happen? So this one and the next two show some of the different tabs that are on this very large planning sheet that Xello has provided. And again, if you click on the slide, you'll be able to go to, you'll get a copy of the document so that you can start your own planning. So this one has the scope and sequence examples that show the missions 3 to 5, grades 3 to 5. And then similar, the next tab on that planning sheet, this one shows the different embedded lessons for Xello 612. And again, you'd be able to identify what grade level that might occur, and then the timeline of when those are going to happen.
Great. So we are imagining that by this point, you have been inspired by a super comprehensive, multi-layered, very well-developed map that is valuable for students and educators and administrators. We wanted to just fill your bucket with possible blank frameworks and formats if you are in a place where you're just getting started. And we also wanted to take just a couple minutes to give you some examples from other districts in our ISD of places where people have started, so that it can be a process that feels exciting instead of daunting. So we're going to look just for a few minutes at some ways that structures that we've shared this today have been used by colleagues in other local districts. And the next few slides were developed by last year's team of KRESA career champions from the Gull Lake schools. So we were so excited to support this team of counselors from Gull Lake Middle and Gull Lake High School, Kim, Jen, Katie, and Diana, as they worked last year to map out a Xello-based curriculum for their students in grades 6 through 12. As you can see in this slide, they wanted to avoid repetition at different levels, so their map included Xello activities at each grade level. The team created a Xello flowchart, which introduced key Xello components in middle school and helped students begin to embrace the idea of creating their EDPs and engaging with them. As you can see in this slide from the team's presentation at last year's Innovation Showcase, they also introduced vision boards and incorporated family engagement opportunities as part of their mapping using Xello activities. Here's some of those Xello-based EDP overviews on the left and some of the vision boards that students began to create in middle school. In high school, the Gull Lake Career Champions continued to map out that Xello plan. And that included having 9th graders complete the Xello Skills Lab, as well as having students use their Xello career matches as the basis for their reality fair experience. So they're really bringing in lots of opportunities for students, but connecting them back to that framework that Xello offers as a way to create a map that students can return to and use over time. Here you'll notice again that the Gull Lake folks were able to incorporate the graphics that Liz showed earlier. And again, we just wanted to provide all of these resources so you could see how you can take from them and incorporate them into the mapping that you are getting ready to do here. In the Gull Lake map, the team planned for 10th graders to attend a career panel highlighting how a single local employer, in this case Zoetis, can offer opportunities across all 6 of the career zones. And the goal of vertical alignment, which was what these career champions was after, allowed them to put Xello connected career activities in a map, grades 6 through 12. So it's an example of a kind of manageable and meaningful way to get started in this mapping effort. We're going to go now to another local district and take a quick peek at some of the ways that they mapped the work that they do. So Galesburg Augusta took on the challenge of mapping the high school's implementation of the Michigan Career Development Model. And these slides are from the one-person team of Bethany Stanton, who was a career champion who worked with Youth Solutions over the last few years to develop this high school's career development plan. And these slides that we're looking at now are from Bethany's presentation at last year's Innovation Showcase. So the GA map centered around a dedicated time period in the school schedule, once a week on Wednesdays, called Flex Time, where classroom teachers facilitated a series of weekly college and career readiness classes using lessons created by the school's Career Leadership Council. And that Career Leadership Council is a key component of the way that Youth Solutions helps build this system in the schools with which they work. This is Bethany shared the fall class and topic schedule by grade level. So here you can see the way that they are mapping the learning that needs to happen across grades and times. Along with there's a sample Workforce Wednesday lesson plan. And this just shows some of the ways that the GA high school folks included a fall reality fair, a February career fair, and strong employer engagement, so that those Workforce Wednesday lessons really could map a student's progress. They learned about job interviews, and then they had mock interviews with employers like Eaton. So that's a couple of examples. One of the things that Liz and I have done as systems folks here on the Discover team is we've spent a lot of time trying to pull together the frameworks and maps. And so we wanted to share with you this, what we sort of call a meta map of what are all of the different inputs that we might consider as we work our way from K to 12th grade and beyond. And what are the different ways that the resources that we have studied offer us insights into how to create a developmental sequence of activities and topics. So what you can see here, and if you click on this as well, you'll get to the full copy. It wouldn't all fit on one sheet, but we wanted to make sure that you could see that one way to think about your developmental curriculum mapping is to start with those essential guiding questions. That's the gray band there. You might also start with the pink part, which is what are the topics that you want to introduce at what grade level? And in this case, those topics are aligned with the missions and the lessons that are included in Xello, so that you don't have to do that work. We've already gone ahead and pulled out some of the key content pieces so that as you're thinking about where to get started and where to align lessons and content within academic classes, we've done some of that work for you here. And one more perhaps useful resource is this blank Michigan Career Classification Map, which you can also get by clicking on the link on the top of this slide. And the reason that this is so helpful is it can be used in multiple different ways. Tracy did a fabulous job of helping us understand that modern 14 cluster system that's being promoted nationally. This one really does include the 17 clusters that are still part of the Michigan Career Development Model. So at some point, if they coalesce around the 14, this might adapt. But for now, you could use something like this to make sure that as you're mapping out your activities and course connections, that you cover all 17 of the Michigan career clusters. You could, everywhere where you see text on this map, you could include maybe the names of guest professionals who are coming who fit into these categories, or maybe the times in courses in your scope and sequence where these topics could be touched upon. So this blank map might be super useful as you move forward. And I just wanted to show you that there is connected to the map that you can click and get to are larger versions of the 6 career clusters, which then allow you also to go through and use them to organize the materials that you are trying to share over your K-12 curriculum. So in just our last couple of minutes today, I wanted to dream with you a little bit, right? So we've thought a lot from an educator perspective about what the mapping needs to look like for us to make sure that we have the resources in the right places and we are aligned with our scope and sequence and that we're meeting the standards all the way through. So our maps are often spreadsheets or frameworks that allow us to compact a lot of information into a digestible format. But at some point, once we have those educator-friendly maps in place, what might it look like to create a kind of a roadmap for our learners to follow? I love the work that we saw from Dr. Miller about creating those career pathways and making it all accessible and clickable. So the electronic version of that is exciting to think about. But I just wanted to show you these examples from the one on the left is from the National Mentoring Resource Center. What does it look like for a student's journey to go from 8th, 9th through 12th grade? And could you take the map that you end up with creating for the use of educators and translate it into something that would be valuable for students? The one in the middle is from a school in the United Kingdom, and the one on the right is a public health bachelor's degree and the processes that you need to go through to achieve that. So just wanted us to dream a little bit. I love the idea of someday creating kind of a treasure map, right? That allows students to understand sort of the barriers and obstacles that they will have to overcome and go around to get to that treasure, which is whatever post-secondary opportunity they're aiming for. So how could we create a treasure map that might get students where they want to go? And I wanted to make sure that we lifted up Portage Northern as well, because very early on in their work as career champions, they came up with this orange and gray map on the right side here to sort of start walking their students through the things that they would need to do as they worked to complete their education up until graduation.
All right, thank you, Joan. And as Joan mentioned, as she began to describe some of those maps, it can seem to be a daunting journey, but as you start putting things together, hopefully then that map, that treasure map, begins to form for both yourself, your school district, and the students and families that you serve. And so in conclusion, we just want to make sure that that you know that there's a lot of different research studies that are happening, including student voice, that are showing many of the benefits to students when building those academic connections to careers. So students are seeing that relevancy as they're exploring, becoming aware, then exploring, then experiencing. And then being able to reflect upon what they're learning and how those things are all connected together. So that helps them make better informed decisions. Like Tracy mentioned, like Dr. Miller mentioned, in terms of what classes to take, what are they mapping for their own courses and choosing electives. It helps benefit students from marginalized communities as well, when everyone is able to learn all about all the career options that are available. Boosts academic engagement, it brings relevance and self-efficacy. So again, more informed about their life choices and what's available to them. So we hope that there has been some great information for you to take in. We want to make sure that we honor time and end on time. Make sure that you check the chat so that you can sign out to receive your sketches. And also the link for the slide deck is in the chat, as well as the QR code there at the beginning so that you're able to access these and go over the information again, perhaps at your leisure to really absorb it. And of course, Joan and I, also your school's career development consultant, and even Dr. Miller are available to provide any additional information, answer questions, helpful resources, etc., for you as you begin your mapping process. Thank you.
So I'll just add my thanks to Liz and also remind us that we have 2 more of these coming up. We will be back next month with engaging students in their career planning. We have some special guests planning to join us for that one as well. And then we'll round out the year in April with showcasing your students' talents and aspirations. You can see any of our past Power Hours on the YouTube channel that you can click in the bottom right side of that screen. I did put the sign out for sketches in the chat, so please do take a minute to get that done before you head out. And we wish you a wonderful afternoon. Thanks again for being with us.